Hello, and my name is Pete Rushmer, and I'm your host today of A Half Dozen Things podcast. A Half Dozen Things is a podcast for business owners just like you. Whether you're an underdog hungry for success, or you're already smashing it but want to continue to level up, we are here each week for you to get insight and learning from the very best in the business. No fluff, no BS, and no self-proclaimed gurus talking about how easy business or life is. So the red light's rolling and the ladies told me that recording's in progress. I have got two argumentative chihuahuas sat next to me, so hopefully they'll manage to keep themselves quiet during this podcast. Today, I'm honoured to have Harry Howells join me as a guest. So not many people on the podcast might have known Harry existed, but he's actually part of the team. He not only does some marketing work for us and takes photos and does all sorts of cool stuff. Every week he edits the podcast as well. So you could look at it in two ways. He's the one who's lucky enough to get paid to listen to the podcast, or you could look at it the other way in that he's the one who's so sad enough that he's got to listen to every single one of me carrying on. So more than anyone else, he probably has heard everything that I've got to say and how much I repeat myself. So Harry, with that intro, I'm going to put myself on mute because the dogs have started arguing again and tell them off. Would you be able to just introduce yourself for the listeners, please, mate?
Of course, yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me on, Pete. My name's Harry, and I own a company called Spark Agency. We're based just outside of Stamford in Lincolnshire, and set up in February 2020, peak timing, just before the pandemic. And yeah, I've been going ever since.
Amazing, mate. I have just, they've kept quiet just for the minutes. That's good. So you've been going since Feb 22. So obviously just pre-pandemic, like literally just before. That was really good timing. So what did you do before that, Harry?
Yeah, so before that, I left college when I was 17. So I went into the world of work pretty much randomly. I got an email through one day, which I thought was work experience, but it was actually for a social media agency, and they wanted a photographer / videographer to come in full time. And at the time, I wasn't really enjoying my course. It was something which I was reconsidering, and this seemed like the best opportunity. So I took that up, really enjoyed it for a year and a half. And then I decided I want to do something by myself. So I set up being a photographer / videographer by myself. And that was not the best decision because I quickly found out that nobody really wanted photos and videos. They also wanted marketing. So I said, okay, this sounds like a good opportunity as well. So I took 3 months to learn the basics and a bit more advanced social media marketing. And then I thought, you know what, let's give it a go, and set up in February 2020. And then obviously the big C hit not even a month later. So I was like, yeah, really thought that one through.
Oh dear. But here you are still standing,
still standing.
2 and a bit years later. So happy anniversary, Harry.
Thank you very much.
On that. So Harry, just for the benefit of the listeners, you're one of the reasons that I wanted to get you on here was obviously to share your insights as a younger person running their own business. How old are you, Harry? Not that
I'm
age
21.
matters. 21. So,
yes.
So you were 19 when you started Spark Agency, yeah?
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
Okay, brill. Okay, mate. So tell me then, how did Spark Agency start? Tell me about how that happened.
So, like I said, I studied the general ins and outs of social media marketing, and I was self-employed from February 2020 right up until around July of 21, so last year. I wanted to go limited before that, but obviously COVID came along and was like, yeah, you better reconsider what you're actually doing. So I stayed self-employed and traded and worked under the term of Spark Agency. And yeah, I just really wanted to solve a gap in the market, really, because working for a previous social media agency, I'd picked up on a few things, saw opportunities where they may not have seen them. So I was like, okay, let's see what I can do and bring a new approach to the industry to help businesses.
Perfect. And I think that your approach is very refreshing in that you always have quite a proactive approach. You always come to me with suggestions for different ways of doing things. So I certainly really like working with you in that sense. Okay, tell me a bit more about when did you start working? So were you working whilst you're at college? What were you doing whilst you were there studying? And what was it you studied at college whilst you were there?
Yeah, so at college, I only had like a part-time waiter job just up the road from me. It's a nice restaurant. I did that, and then at college I was studying. It's technically film and media. That's the best way to describe it. So the study of film, I loved all cinematography, photography, etc. And to be honest, like when I went into work, photography didn't really fall under what I'd studied. So it was a very new thing for me, but I'd always had an eye for it. And I was like, okay, well, let's just see how far we can take this. And the first photos I took were absolutely dreadful. Like they were the sort of things where you'd be like, okay, yeah, that's a good starting point, but there's definitely room for improvement. And it kind of just developed on from there, to be honest.
I'll unmute myself. I'll unmute myself. I just had to tell the dogs off again, so I apologise. But at least they're joining us. I might actually get one up for a cuddle in a moment, and then you can see. Yeah, exactly. Okay, Brill. So, and obviously you've had a bit of work experience doing different stuff. Like the restaurants are pretty nice around Stamford. Was it a nice restaurant?
Yeah, I mean it was a sort of a fine dining restaurant. So not your typical. It was more of a bistro sort of thing. So restaurant, nice. You could probably pop in for a drink, but it was a proper country pub. So nice. You get your likes of your farmers come in, all that stuff. So yeah, it was a good experience. But I would, from that point on, I was like, yeah, I don't really want to be involved in the hospitality industry because it's very fast paced. And if you're working a long time like I was, it was like, okay, this is going to take it out of me longer than I would have thought it would have done. So
yeah, I think I recommend the hospitality sector for all young people who are looking to get into work. Certainly,
it's a good work experience.
Yeah, I started out there, and it does teach you how to deal with people from all different walks of life, and it helps you manage that for sure. So
100%.
Okay, Brill. So from a photography point of view, I know you sort of studied photography and film. What do you enjoy taking photos and stuff in your spare time, or is
a hobby
to be honest? What do you like taking photos of?
Yeah, mate, for landscapes, that's my favorite thing to photograph. I mean, when I was working full time, it was all food. Working with restaurants kind of went full circle. I was working in the hospitality sector, and then I was working on the hospitality sector, so it went sort of full circle in that respect. But yeah, landscapes, just general like beautiness. What is that even a word? Just general outside beauty is what I like taking photos of. And yeah, it's something which I now keep as a hobby purely for when I feel like, I'll go out and spend half a day somewhere, see what I can take photos of. So it's nice to keep it going.
All right then, Harry, I've got a job for you then. I've got a job for you, right? So we're moving soon. You've probably seen that we're moving soon. You're gonna come by to take some photos soon. What I need, I'm building at the moment. So I'm gonna have like a Zoom room, like my own virtual room with the background that I'm gonna be recording the podcast in. And it's going to have the flagship turquoise green. And I've already started getting some stuff, which means stuff to me, to put on the shelves around me. So I'm going to have a few books. I'm going to have like an hourglass. I'm going to have a Man United memorabilia. I'm going to have, what else have I got to come on there? I've got like a motivational picture as well. So maybe I need a little bit of Harry's photography. Maybe I need like some kind of landscape, because I like walking, right? And that'll actually signify. So all of them mean different things. So Man United, obviously, because I'm a big fan. I've got the hourglass because I value time more than I value money, because time's really, really important. So I use the hourglass for that. And then what else have I picked there? Yeah, so once upon a time when I first started out in business, Mag's done me, the Iceberg, the Iceberg, which like the success iceberg. So you got the success at the top, which everyone sees, and then you have all the stuff under the water that no one sees. Well, Maggie painted me one of those about 3 years ago when I first started out, and she subsequently cut holes in it when I really annoyed her, probably about a year or so ago. So she cut holes through it because I had it up in my bathroom. It was really meaningful to me. So I can't put up the one that's got holes all cut in it because you're so angry with me.
But I won't ask what happened, but it was,
it's fine. It's fine. This is how these things happen, right? Anyway, so next question for you then, mate. So you're going to do a nice landscape picture for...
I will, that's definitely happening. 100%.
Yeah, okay, cool. That can be my moving in gift, all right? That'll be our office warming gift, all right? Anyway, how has being young in business, how's that been for you?
Well, when I started out, technically, I was only 19 really. And I think most of what I conceived or preconceived was mostly in my head, because I was thinking sort of self-doubt from an age where, okay, I'm only 19. Are people going to take me seriously? Is my age going to affect people's perceptions of my capabilities to help their business to grow? So from my perspective, I've changed my mindset completely. I realized that age isn't a factor, because if you can do what you say and you can do it well, it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still do it. Doesn't matter if you're 80 or 18. But yeah, I mean, there's only been a few occasions where people have said, okay, he's probably a bit too young, sort of thing. And I've said, okay, well, that's fine. Probably not a good fit, but thank you anyway. And I think it's good that people don't hold, an age as a factor in whether to work with you or not. And then we've got a special guest just joined us.
Yeah, so this is Buster. Buster is actually younger than you, Harry.
As a lot of people are, yes. Yeah. Not many people are, though.
No, not many people. Right, okay, so you have come across some objections then based on your age.
Yeah, it's something which I just technically brush off. It's not something which affects me anymore. And I think that in the way you come across plays much more of a factor than how old you are.
Yeah, I totally agree.
If you come across well, mature, well mannered, and most importantly, when you're doing business to business, they want to know what can you bring to the table. They don't care if you were born yesterday. So it's nice in that respect.
Absolutely. I think it's very important. It's very important that you that you do what you say you're going to do, and that those results kind of speak for themselves, don't they? So
exactly that.
I believe that everyone deserves an opportunity. You're certainly the youngest ever guest on the podcast, so how about that?
Yeah, get a plaque to my name.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So obviously you've had some objections, but generally speaking, like most people you meet, sort of quite positive about that and about how you can help their business.
Because I think, especially being young, and I've grown up with social media, which is what I do. It plays more of a role in my expertise because I live and breathe it. Like, I don't really like social media, but I know how to use it. So it's like that. It's a double-edged sword, really. And obviously, when you meet people that may have never really used social media for their business, typically of an older generation pushing over 50, they're like, yeah, we do need some help with this because we're not fluent in it. It's not what we know to be second nature to them. So there's obviously the market for that, which is good.
Okay, so tell me a bit about like what it is that you don't like about social media then, because you just alluded to that. So what is it you don't like about it?
I mean, especially on Instagram, from my perspective, is somewhat of an issue because especially over the last few years, there's been a lot of like mental health issues around Instagram, and especially with comparisons. And now what you find is people tend to take a snippet of what they've seen online, and then their whole perception of that person is skewed towards, oh, okay, they went on holiday last week, their life's amazing. We don't have that balance. And I think in the last couple of years, it's become less organic, and Instagram has become like, how good can you look on a day-to-day basis? People go out to places just to take photos for Instagram. And I think it's such an artificial way to go about social media. Instead of going somewhere just to post on Instagram, go somewhere, and if you like where you are, take a photo and then put it on Instagram. So from that point of view, it does create a very, I want to say, just sort of tacky social media. It's good for what it is. Don't get me wrong. Instagram is a great platform, especially when you use it for the right reasons. Businesses benefit from Instagram, but especially young people who are, what's the word I'm looking for? Very impressionable. So going through school, secondary school, that's where I think it has the biggest issue. And obviously, I don't, post a lot on Instagram, to be honest. I know that's weird because it's what I do for my job, but I know that a lot of the times when people post a lot on Instagram, it's like, okay, this is how great my life is. So they're trying to cover up for some insecurity potentially. That might be a bit of a blanket term. But it does promote a lot of toxicity amongst people of all walks of life. So
got you. Okay, brilliant. That's it's really, really insightful. I think I must admit, I'm not a big fan of Instagram, but I'm like a grandparent. So like Facebook's kind of my thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm so old and fuddy-duddy, LinkedIn and Facebook.
To be honest, I still use them both.
Now.
I use Facebook every day. I use LinkedIn every day. I think they're great platforms, especially LinkedIn. If you get LinkedIn right, and what I say to anybody, whether you're a client or you're a friend or your family, is don't sell on LinkedIn.
Hi, it's Pete from Flagship Partners. We're really proud to sponsor a Half Dozen Things podcast. At Flagship Partners, we take road safety really seriously, and we're your road safety partnership. We help transport companies with compliance and training across their businesses, including first aid, driver CPC, and other transport management services. So if you're FORS accredited or you want to improve your operator compliance risk score, give Flagship Partners a call today.
Do not sell, because it doesn't work. It becomes, well, it is oversaturated. Everybody who posts on LinkedIn should use it as a tool for showing off what the business does, with no call to action or objection in mind. Because it's almost like stumbling across an oasis in a desert when you see some fresh content that has no link in bio or click the link below to book in a consultation call. It's so refreshing because it's not what we see. So if you're thinking, okay, LinkedIn doesn't work for me, just try and be more human. That's what I would say, and it works.
Yeah, good advice. Very good. Okay, mate. So one of the things I do notice is that you work mostly with like property developers. How do you help property developers with what you offer?
Yeah, so it's really a whole range of property people. So you go from developers to investors, estate agents, and just property professionals in general, to be honest. And we help them through finding leads on social media. So for example, if you wanted to sell your house, and you were looking to sell quickly, you'd be classed as a motivated seller. So instead of going through an estate agent, a property investor in this instance would approach you and say, hello, I can offer you up to 100% market value for your house. How quickly are you looking to move? They say, yeah, we want to be gone in 2 weeks. We help property investors find those people on social media through paid advertising.
Got you. Fantastic. And what sort of size property developer are they? Are they like these big companies, or can they be like just
they can be one-man bands? Yeah, one-man bands is actually who we really work with. And we've got a client at the moment who deals with the sort of northwest of England, and he's found a good number of leads coming through just down the road from him technically. So yeah, it's across the board. I mean, we're about to start working with an estate agent, and as you can tell, estate agents is more than one person. But yeah, it's a wide range of business sizes.
Well, that sounds really exciting. Okay, bro, tell me a bit more then about what motivates you. What keeps you driven on a day-to-day basis? Because you're obviously a young person, and you've got lots of goals and ambition. So yeah, let me know sort of what is it that motivates you?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds quite cliche, but I would say I'm probably 70% driven by changing how things are done for better, and then 30% by obviously what comes from that, which is money. Now, everybody says, oh yeah, money isn't a driving factor, but it is. Everybody has to have a driving factor of money, because that's what keeps the world going in a sense. Everybody needs money to live. But yeah, just when I left work full time, I was like, okay, I enjoy doing it, but I would rather go on a journey of working for myself and seeing where that goes rather than working for someone else. So I think keeping on the straight and narrow and thinking, okay, this is what I want to build. I want to build a company instead of, okay, I want to work inside someone else's business for, another 40 years until I retire. So, just that self drive and working towards a final destination of got this company set up. Now I can retire. That's where I want to be.
Yeah, got you. Okay, cool. When do you want to retire?
When do I want to retire? Oh, I don't know, probably in my 50s, because I could not sit around doing nothing for, if everything goes well, I'm like, okay, I can retire at 30. I've then got another 50 years of doing absolutely nothing productive. I'd rather keep it going out until as long as possible. So see where things go, to be honest. What about you? When do you want to retire? Because I know that you mentioned
that's a good
while ago.
That's a good question. So I'd like to I'd like to be like sacked from flagship business.
Well, Maggie comes in and just says, "Yeah,
sacked.
8 you're off."
Yeah, sacked. I want to be sacked by 50.
Okay.
And then, so I think what I want to end up doing is having like a positive impact on like more people. So one of the things that I do, one of the reasons I'm driven to do as much as I do is through like the fulfillment of being able to help other people, because what we do is we help businesses, and by helping businesses operate and be better, then we help people have better quality work because they enjoy going to work more. So one of the things that I'd like to do sort of as I develop and grow older is sort of spread that. So by being able to do that, what I'd look to do is sort of work on a one-to-one basis with sort of higher level leaders who want to sort of replicate the kind of things that Flagship will achieve. And then help them to do that. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that I could ever fully retire, but certainly I'd like to maybe, be able to take a step back from Flagship, continue to run Flagship long term, but I'll sort of be in the background where people, people are amazing running the business for me, and I sort of get out of my own way because they do a better job than I do. And I can go traveling, but I can still support people whilst I'm traveling largely. So
that's brilliant. I think that's the best way to go about it, especially when you're helping people to achieve dreams within their company, because especially nowadays it's very easy to go in as like a business coach with no experience on what it takes to run a successful business. So I think the way that you're going about it is like, okay, well, look, I'm my own case study. I built this company up from the ground up, and I achieved X amount of revenue per year. Growth was X amount per year. And that's the best way to do it, because then people can actually see how you did it, and you can tell them how you did it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's a very good way of going about things.
Harry, tell me a bit about, Buster's face keeps like blurring the further I go back into the background. So tell me a bit about what do you do outside of work? What are you doing when you're not working on Spark Agency, Harry? Yeah,
so I like to paint. I like to paint like Bob Ross. I don't know if you've ever watched any of Bob Ross's stuff. He's
never even heard of Bob Ross.
You've not heard of Bob Ross? You should. He has a big afro, or did. He's sadly passed away now. He had a big afro, and he would paint for like 25 minutes landscapes.
Right.
Surely you've seen him. Okay.
I'm literally just Googling him now. He's some guy. Look at that beard and that hat, that hair, man.
Yeah.
He's got like a massive
a massive afro. Yeah, that's it. I like to paint. I've done a few paintings in my time. It's a very easy thing to do as well. With the application that you choose, you just effectively paint the whole canvas with sort of a white paint, and then you get your colors and you follow along and you paint. And your first one will be rubbish, because mine was. But as you keep going, the techniques are very easy to pick up on, because it's simple brush strokes. There's nothing too meticulous about it. So it's just keeping your mind going in that respect. But I haven't really done it in a long time. So I need to pick that up again. But yeah, other than that, I enjoy walking, taking the dog out. Want to go and see Snowdon. I did Scotland last year. Want to go walking and hiking, exploring new places. And yeah, just spending time with the family as well. I think family is really important, even if it's just sat around the TV doing nothing. It's good to keep the family ties and have that balance between 7 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock at night, shut off, then it's family time, have dinner. So work-life balance is really important for me, especially.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. And do you manage to keep that balance whilst working for yourself, or is it a bit of a struggle sometimes?
Yeah, some nights are like, probably finish work at 7. Then some nights, I can finish at 5 o'clock. There really is no in between. But as soon as I'm done, still living at home. So fortunate for me, having that work-life balance is fairly easy, because everything's here. All I have to do is just shut down my computer and then go about my business. So it is something which I strive to do, and especially taking time for myself as well, even if it's just going out somewhere, doing whatever. That's something which I find is very good, and I do like to do that as often as I can, really.
Yeah, got you.
Step away from the computer.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So tell me a bit more about I guess sort of just rounding it off really, what are your plans for the future with Spark Agency? What are your aspirations for the future of the business?
So within the next sort of 5 years, I would love to grow the company to around 10 employees, have an in-house team, ideally probably in Peterborough, or even Stamford, depending on where we end up. But yeah, want to grow it into an agency, which is somewhere where people say, okay, use this company. So not a household name, because that's very difficult to achieve, but just somewhere, a company which people know and they know good things about, and create a good all-round presence for the company. Because I don't want to be a one-man band forever. I mean, I'm a two-man band at the moment, my business partner, David. But I know how important the team is. And especially when you want to achieve a dream, you can go so far alone, but when other people are around you, it just takes off. So ideally, within the next sort of 5 years, want to be at that point where I'm like, okay, this is going pretty good. So
yeah, cool. Okay, fine. So you want to have a team of like 10 people. So tell me a bit about David. I didn't know that you had a business partner, Harry. We've been working together all this time. I didn't know that was David.
Well, David joined last year, and David used to be heavily involved in property. So he owned a couple of, actually over 300 units. So rent-to-rent, HMOs, service accommodation, etc. So he was deeply involved with that, and that's where the property side of things came from. So he approached me one day and said, hey, Harry, there's this pretty big gap in the market for property professionals to use social media advertising and content to grow their portfolios. So I was like, okay, not really something I've considered before. So we got chatting, and then, we started working together. And David looks after the property side of things within the business, mainly getting new leads in, helping them to achieve their goals on social media, all through the power of social media, pretty much. So it's great working with him. And we used to go to school together. We were 2 years apart at school, so it's nice to obviously work with somebody that I know. And he's a great guy, really great guy.
Sounds really exciting. Sounds like you've got a lot of stuff going on, Harry. That sounds really, really good.
Thank you.
I guess the final thing for me to ask is, one of the things that I've always thought would be a good opportunity, particularly with the listeners who are listening to this podcast. We have a lot of like fleet operators and that kind of thing, and many of them don't use social media very well. So what advice or tips have you got? Obviously, one's to pick up the phone and call you for a bit of support. But tell me a bit more about, if someone doesn't really know much about social media and they're in like the fleet sector, they maybe use social media to recruit drivers, or they use it to sort of promote their business to help them look more professional. What could they do? What sort of tips have you got for them to help do that?
I think in the fleet sector, obviously the main focus is around drivers, trucks, and the whole lot. So what you need to do is promote the team and the company itself. So meet the teams, what's going on in the office, where your drivers are off today, trips that they've been on recently. I don't know if they've been to Paris or they've been down to Dover or whatever. Just get every driver who is willing to be involved, and even doing like live streams as well. So once a week live streams, a roundup of what's been going on in the company, talking about fleet relevant things, and even if it's just general lifestyle things as well. It doesn't even have to be business oriented, because predominantly in B2B businesses, it's very easy to fall in the trap of promote. This is what we're doing. So I think I said earlier on in the podcast, having that human approach to social media, it's what makes a difference between, a customer or not, because nobody likes to be sold to, and you can very easily tell your story, which will sell much better than a post with 5 call to actions, link in bio, call us to get your free quote. That doesn't work. It doesn't resonate, and people are tired of seeing it. So just be completely human with what you do. That's the best way to go about it.
Great advice. Thank you very much, Harry, and thank you for coming on the podcast. I think
it's a pleasure. Thank you.
I think the listeners would have got a lot of value from that. And I really appreciate it, and I'll be sending it over to you shortly for editing. Okay?
Can't wait.
Nice one, Harry. I appreciate you joining me. You take care. Take care, Harry. Cheers, mate.
See you later. Bye-bye.
I really hope you loved today's episode, and if you did, please make sure you subscribe and listen out for future episodes too. Please do share it across your social media channels. We hope to reach more and help more people. If you want to find out more about me, my name's Pete Rushmer. You'll find me across any social media channel and my business, Flagship Partners, and we're your partners in success across your business. Thank you. See you again soon.